Dandavat. Dandavat to everyone.
Dandavat to everyone.
Anjali.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, hello.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat. Dandavat. Oh.
Dandavat.
Anjali.
Maharaj, I'm alive. Dandavat.
Dandavat. Saraswati, ¿cómo estás? How are you?
Me? I'm good, Maharaj. How are you? Are you now recovered?
Yeah, pretty much so. I think so.
Well, you look as good as new.
As good as old, you mean?
I wish I could say the same for me.
Saraswati, how are you?
Dandavat Maharaj. Yes, fine.
Okay. And Krishna Mohini and Rasaraj and Rukmini
Dandavat
too.
Maharaj. Dandavat.
Dandavat.
Dandavat Maharaj. Dandavat.
Dandavat.
Dandavat para todos.
Rukmini, ¿dónde estás? ¿En Florida?
Sí, Maharaj. En la Lachma.
Dandavat.
Okay. And Maria Sanchez. ¿Quién es Maria?
Mayavi. Mayavi. Mi mamá.
Dandavat Maharaj. ¿Cómo
Dandavat.
estás?
Dandavat. ¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo seguiste, Maharaj?
Okay.
Bien, Maharaj. Muy alegre de verlo.
Oh, Dandavat. And Krishna Chaitanya in Ukraine.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. How is everything there?
Oh, it's pretty well. A little bit cold, -6 or 7 centigrade.
What?
-5 or 6 degrees. It's cold, a little bit
okay.
cold.
Oh, okay. Falguni Dandavat. And Gaurachandra.
Guys.
Dandavat.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Lavanya Mai. Está.
I'm not on the phone, I'm here, because the phone's in the Pujari kitchen for when I have to do the offering, so don't miss anything.
Okay. Rasaraj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat.
See you
Bhagavan.
again.
Bhagavan. Okay. And okay. My dandavats to everyone. Dandavats. Dandavats. So all three sisters are on. Oh. What happened to Krishna Mohini? Oh, she's behind the curtain. thing. No.
25th.
No, 26th.
Dandava Maharaj, Dandava Devotees.
Dandavad Ananta Govinda.
Maharaj, how you feeling now?
Little tired, but still good. I'm just using this COVID as an excuse for doing nothing. But I feel like it's been almost 2 weeks now. I'm going out, I go outside, I go to walk at the beach, and even go into the stores. But I haven't been doing so much.
Hey, Krishna. Oh.
Okay. So, ¿Alguien tiene una pregunta? Does someone have a question? The reason I'm not saying anything, I'm trying to remember. I was trying to remember, actually, to be honest. I'm trying to remember the name of Devashis' wife, and that's what I was.
Ishanuga.
Ishanuga. I knew it started with it.
You forgotten so quickly.
I forgot. Perdóname, yo olvidé. El otro día, the other day, I forgot the name of people I know. Like, maybe my brain has gone rotten. One day I was giving a oh yes, what was it, on Sunday? On Sunday I was I did the Sunday class, and I could remember everything. And then at the end of the class, when I was singing Yashomati Nandana, I forgot some of the words, some of the lines. And I can remember that every day of the year. But when I was singing, what happens is my mind is trying to remember something, and then I can't remember it. But when I'm not trying to think about it, then I can remember it very easily. I think but that's not a result of COVID. It's just normal mind fog that I have. And sometimes I'm like that. When I was young, my mother would come into the room, and she would sweep the floor with the vacuum cleaner, and I would never even hear it. I'd never hear the vacuum cleaner. And sometimes she'd ask me questions, and I wouldn't answer it. because I just didn't hear it. Because when I'm thinking about something, it kind of like block out everything else. Doesn't happen so often, but when I'm really trying to remember something or concentrating on something, and I was doing that, and then I forgot all the lines, and then after the program, I was saying Jayam Vishnupad, and I forgot where I was. I forgot. But the whole time I was speaking, I could remember everything. But when I got to the end, and especially if I try to think, well, I want to be able to remember this or something like that, then I can't remember it. That's, you know.
Maharaj, one question.
Yeah.
Have you noted in your life, like devotees having like a special kind of memory in that regard that you're mentioning? Because I have seen people who doesn't have particularly good memory, but they suddenly can quote something from the scriptures like they read it, you know, and they have been repeating, of course, but they have like a very good memory for that. And somehow for other kind of things, they don't have like such a good memory. I don't know if you have seen that before.
Yeah. Sometimes, but I don't know what it is. I think it's just like if I'm thinking deeply about something, I can remember detail, but it's hard for me at that time to remember other things. I'm just like focused on one thing, and then if something else comes up, it's like, oh, what? But I've always been a little like that. I mean, one time I was in a class, I was about, I don't know, very young, maybe 10 years old. And the teacher was talking, and I was kind of sleeping with my head on the desk. And the teacher suddenly gave a test to everyone. And then she corrected the test, and she said, I got the most right of anyone. And she said, how could you get the most right of anyone when you were sleeping with your head on the desk? How could you get more right than everyone else? And I said, well, I was kind of sleeping, but I was listening also. So I don't know. And they say that fast readers remember things very well, but I'm not a fast reader, and I can remember when I'm reading something like scripture or something, I can remember almost everything of it, but I'm a very slow reader. So I don't know how that works. It's not supposed to work that way. Watching Gaura Chandra and getting hungry. Ishanuga, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, Maharaj, ¿cómo estás?
Pues yo me siento bien, especialmente tengo la ventana abierta, hay mucho sol aquí. ¿Estás solado in Londres? Is it very sunny in London now?
No, Maharaj. Está frío y nublado.
Well, yeah, because it's late. Was it sunny during the day?
No sun.
No sun
It
for
was,
like
it was
maybe
trying to
3
make an
months.
appearance. It was trying hard to appear, but it couldn't quite get through the clouds.
Well, I'll show you.
Bright, you know.
I'm going to show you here.
So warm.
I'm going to show you here what it looks like. Tunga Rasa, how are you?
Dandavats Maharaj. Thank you very much. There is no sun here as well.
I'm trying to go here. Let's see if you can. Let me see if you can see what it looks like. Here.
Oh, it's beautiful, Maharaj.
Yeah. And let's see if I can show the so many flowers.
Very nice and warm.
Can you see the flowers?
Yeah.
So many yellow flowers. Can you see them?
Yeah.
This is outside here.
Maharaj, you can see the samadhi of Gurudev from your veranda?
Yeah. Let me see if you can see it. I can see it. It's behind these, you see these white fluffy things?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's behind there. I'll have to go. Let me see. I'll go just 1 second. I'm gonna put on a pair of shoes and go outside. Let me see if we can see the samadhi. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. Can you see the samadhi?
Not really.
Let me
The
see.
steps.
Huh?
Can see the steps, but that's about it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I'm going to lose the connection. I have to go down the stairs. Maybe from another angle. Over here. Let's see. I don't know if... Let's see. Where is this? No. The camera's not good enough on this MacBook. You just see... Oh. Too many plants in the way.
We have to make a visit there to see it in person, Maharaj, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'll lose the connection if I do that. So, I'm going back in the house. It's very sunny here, very nice.
Looks very nice and warm.
Yeah, it's warm outside. It gets cold at nighttime though. In the nighttime it's cold. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's this speaker. When it becomes nighttime here, it gets cold. But it's sunny up until about 4 o'clock. Rukmini, what? Is she in a car or something?
Picking up the kids at school.
Okay.
And you have the deers coming every day, Maharaj.
Yeah, I haven't seen them myself because I didn't go outside that early, but yeah, they come generally every day. But they come on the other side. They come to the devotees, put the prasadam in a compost pile, and then the deer and some coyote and also rabbits and rats. They come and eat the prasadam.
Like real big time coyotes.
The coyotes are not so big; they're skinny.
Are
But
they?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, there's coyotes, and also about a couple months ago I saw a fox also. Fox on the property.
Maharaj, yung bobcat allá.
Bobcat? Yeah, I I don't see them so often, but I've seen them once or twice.
I've been thinking that we were sleeping there in tents.
Uh,
Are they dangerous?
Pardon me? I've seen the bobcats a couple times, not very often. I've seen the coyotes more, but not. I don't see them so often
There
either. But
we were
I see the deer. The deer come down. Sometimes 8, 9 of them come down, and
sleeping under tents.
lots of rabbits also. But of course, we're vegetarian. We don't allow people to hunt on the property. Nobody hunts around here. There are animals here, deer and everything, but nobody's allowed to hunt.
Maharaj, I have a question regarding deity worship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a question, but maybe we could discuss it because someone asked me when they do the arati to Radha and Krishna, and I was going to actually ask Devashis Prabhu, but since maybe we can discuss this here, because Devashis Prabhu, you did the manual with was that Tyagi Maharaj
Yeah.
and Tirtha Maharaj?
What are you? I didn't understand that. What's the question about deity worship?
Yes. So the question is that they're worshiping Radha and Krishna. They were wondering during the arati ceremony, do they offer Radha and Krishna together?
Yes,
Or
together. At least to my understanding, we've always offered Radha and Krishna together. And I know when they give the Gayatri mantra, there's one Gayatri and a prayer to offer also the Gayatri and the separate prayers for Radha and Krishna, but we don't do them separately. At least when we're doing the offering prasadam, we offer to them together, and they take off the same plate.
But I don't know, it was my understanding that during the Boga offering, the first is, for example, here, what I have learned is first Mahaprabhu and Krishna, and then after that, the remnants of Krishna are offered to Srimati Radharani, and then the remnants are offered to the gurus and the Sakhis and the.
Okay, maybe it's done like that. I'm not really a pujari, but I know that Radha and Krishna have as far as I know, they take off the same plate. Devashis, can you say something?
Yeah, I mean, from Guru Maharaj, we were taught that that Vishnu Tattva deity is offered first, and then Shakti Tattva, meaning Radharani, she takes the remnants of Krishna after that, and then after that the remnants are offered to the Guru Varga.
Yeah,
and
but
Prabhupada.
first you have to worship Gurudev.
Yeah, of course, that
Right.
goes without saying. But we offer to Mahaprabhu and Krishna first on behalf of Gurudev, and then after they've eaten, then Srimati Radharani takes Krishna's remnants.
Okay, but you serve the deities off the same plate, right?
Yeah, same plate. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe what you're saying is how the pujaris do, how it's done, and I've seen like that. But I've never in my life been a pujari practically, so don't ask me.
Devashis Prabhu, and regarding, so the Boga is done like that, but when it's
Yeah.
the Roti and the Vedin, they are worshipped as a couple, right?
Yes.
You can ask, actually, you can ask Devashis because that's who I asked. So, you know, he's the one, and he knows about the worship. I don't do worship, but I did make up the offering sheets and all that, but I didn't really, I printed them up and everything, but I didn't really pay so much attention to the details. I mean, I read them over, but it's not something like I'd really focused on. I remember when you asked me about, well, you in the very beginning you said, well, what can we do? We don't really have the pujaris or anything here to worship the deities. And I said, you know, but you know, worship of Mahaprabhu, you know, Ranga Sundar and Giridhari, you know, doesn't require for a devotee protege in order to be able to do that worship. I mean, and you can ask the devotees in Italy what kind of concessions Govinda Maharaj made there for the worship of Mahaprabhu. And I commented about that, how when Shivananda's son went to see Mahaprabhu ahead of the whole party because his Nityananda Prabhu had kicked his father, you know, when he was hungry, then that son went ahead of the group and went to see Mahaprabhu in Puri a little earlier before them. And he was offering dandavats. And then Swarup Damodar went to correct him because he was wearing sewn clothes above his waist, and he went to correct him, and then Mahaprabhu told Swarup Damodar, I believe, don't bother him. You can see he's disturbed, and the boy knew. And Mahaprabhu knew that he was disturbed, and then Mahaprabhu knew everything about him, so he decided not to say anything about his father, Nityananda Prabhu, etc. So when I was reading that, I was thinking, and I told you in the commentary, it said that someone who offers worship to the deities with sewn cloth above his waist, that person has to take so many lives, 7 lives, as a leper, and it's mentioned some shastra. And obviously, in our altar, no man goes on the altar without a shirt practically. Maybe sometimes maybe Ramai could do something like maybe wear a chadar, but even he always wore a shirt. So, you know, there are injunctions for deity worship that are obviously very strict that we don't follow. And Guru Maharaj said, well, we should not let all the principles of Vidhi Marg, we shouldn't let them interfere with our relationship with the deity. So in our temples, we do that. Guru Maharaj didn't establish this, like this Aishvarya Gyan way of, formality. Present ghee lamp, offer ghee lamp. And I see sometimes the devotees, they're counting how many times, how many circles, and like that. They count how many circles offered at the feet, how many. It's just like, to me, that's inconceivable. And then it takes them time, and you're like, and I always tell the devotees, somehow or other, we're going to have this go in, what's the word, in synchronization, synchronization, that all the songs and singing Hare Krishna, to do it all, and the arti will end at the same time as after you sing several times Hare Krishna, it will end. But, they have to be together. The arti and the pujari offering the arti and the singers of the arti has to be somewhat together. Now, I remember how long the artis were in London with what's his name, Brajakishore?
Yeah.
Brajakishore. And what's his sannyas name now?
Narasimha Maharaj.
Narasimha Maharaj. He did some of the longest artis I've seen.
Yeah.
Even rivaling, but not more than ISKCON.
Yeah.
And I saw so many times in ISKCON, it'd be like the Srimad Bhagavatam class, and the whole class would be on one verse of one chapter of one canto of 12 cantos, and it's like, after the classes, my God, what canto were you on? What is happening? What is the sequence of the Leela? Does anybody know? Because always somebody just blah 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 for I'm offensive, I know, but blah 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 for 50 minutes just going on about one verse, and nobody could tell where you are in this world. Have we landed yet? That was the classes. And sometimes when the artis like going on forever, you feel like going like this. But here they tend to do the other extreme. It's like, hello, do you think I could be able to sing Hare Krishna twice or 3 times? It's like, so all of you there, almost everybody in London, they had COVID, right?
Yeah, more or less.
So did it affect your energy afterwards?
Yes.
Yeah, for a few days.
A few years?
You can say something.
Oh, sorry. It was for a time we felt some. It takes, especially when you're older, maybe also. It took me a while, beginning now to feel, back to not a good amount of energy,
Okay,
But
well,
it was a slow process, and it's the same for the boys. They also were very bad. The boys, Krishna,
okay.
Anjali, and Sunda, and but as soon as they recovered, both thought they were dying and had to go to. The ambulance was called for Leela, but he refused to go. But they're both now you know, doing everything as normal, and they're fine. You know, a few symptoms remained, but, you know, which I won't bother to tell you all about, but they're all disappearing now. Hearing loss, you know, but hearing has back, you know. Taste, of course. Taste disappears, and some people, everyone seems to have different symptoms. You know, it's not a, you know, everyone suffers in the same.
What?
Maharaj. Yeah, but, you know, but life goes on and everything gets back to normal whatever passes for normal, that is, you know, today, you know, but everybody's well here, this side, you know. The girls here, the deities are wonderful and amazing. I must think, and that goes to all the lady devotees that I know, and those I don't know even I'm sure are amazing as well. Our Devashis is a dear friend and a very, very, very valued member of our community over here. I wish we could have you all visiting and wish we could visit you, but of course we're in the red zone apparently. So recently, so we can't get on off the ground, you know. A little while before the red zone arrived, you could go, but you had to have so much paperwork, so much. I don't know, you had to know so many mantras before they'd let you on the plane. I don't know. So, you know, Kesh got away, Kesh Fernanda Prabhu, just in time before the red zone, and he's in Vrindavan.
What's the red zone mean? That nobody can leave?
It means that you know, you're not allowed to go, like India, for example, won't let us come in at this time because we're in the red zone. I mean, why is this crazy science?
So is London, is England or the UK, is it in the red zone?
I think we are in the red zone. I didn't know anything about
India. For India.
Oh, we're in the red zone for India, whatever that means.
Isn't everybody in the world in the red zone for India?
I don't know about everybody.
I thought the only ones they would allow there is with business visas.
Yeah, you can go on with a business visa.
But no one has.
You have a business visa, of course. They'll let you in, and you know you have to. There are ways you can get a business visa, of course.
Yeah, well.
But maybe later. I miss going very much, and I would love to go to Parakram one more time.
They could say, what's your business? I say, well, sometimes I brush my teeth.
Oh, must brush teeth.
Must brush teeth, yes. Oh, I was watching at Shama Malini. Shama Malini has a very nice picture of the deities.
Nandavas Maharaj, thank you. I know you asked me for that picture before, but I don't have your number. Okay.
But these are the deities in Green Street?
In Green Street, yes, Maharaj.
Very nice picture.
Thank you, yeah. It was Ishanuga Didi who dressed the deities as usual. Yeah. So you need to sign. I can't hear anything. Sorry, I can't hear.
Who can't hear anything?
Now I can hear you.
Well, I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. Sorry.
Mantra.
Nanda, pranams, Maharaj. Very happy to see you.
Dandavat. This is the first time I've seen you in 3 years. You're always at work or going to work.
I'm very sorry about that. It's just been very difficult times and busy, but I'm very fortunate to be here in your presence, Maharaj.
Dandavat.
I'm actually always also here in the class all around. It's on speakers kind of thing here. So.
Oh, nice. Did I see Krishna Mohini with Subhadra before?
I'm not sure if today, but they're always around.
Yes, Krishna Mohini's on. She's here, but I don't know if Tienes Subhadra or no.
I arrived with Subhadra after your class started, Maharaj. She was on swimming classes, and I was taking her. And when I came to the house, you were already giving class, so I joined later. That's why.
And then now she has a big hat. Is that Subhadra with a big blue hat? Huh? Are you in the same room as Subhadra?
Different room, Maharaj.
Huh? Different room.
He's eating pizza, I think.
Oh, but she has a nice hat.
Yeah.
Any questions from Anonymous?
No.
Ishanuga, you have any question?
No, Maharaj.
How about Gaurachandra? You always ask questions. Or Falguni. Gaurachandra, no question?
No, I mean, Maharaj, to me, I can say that I believe that to many of the devotees, the best moments sharing with you is when, of course, be with you in any way, but always when you tell us some history about yourself, because it's so, to us, it's like so amazing. I mean, at least to me, it's so amazing. Every single experience that you have with all the Guru Varga, that's to me is always, whatever you would like to remember, that will be so wonderful for me, to be sincere.
Well, you know, today Jamuna called me and she was transcribing. You know, she has so many nice things that she puts on her site, but I don't really read so much the site, but every time I do, it's really amazing, and which I don't do so often. And today she told me she was transcribing Srila Govindamore's chanting Brahma Samhita, and she asked if we have a PDF of Brahma Samhita, of the Matt's version of the Brahma Samhita. Does anyone have that?
I don't know. I think maybe it's available on Gaudiya Darshan. As a PDF.
I'll look while we're talking. For a moment I won't be seeing you. Let's see. Gaudiya Darshan. Sri Gaudiya Darshan here. Books, well, let's see. Hello?
Oh, Janardan Maharaj.
Dandavat, estoy en un programa con los devotos de Inglaterra y también de otros lugares. Todo el mundo está en eso.
¿En dónde están conectados, Maharaj? ¿Y yo me conecto? ¿Por Zoom? Por Zoom, ¿sí, Maharaj?
Sí.
Yo le puedo mandar yo le puedo mandar la
reunión.
detalle, Maharaj.
Bueno, pero tú puedes contactar. Hey, Saraswati?
I will send her the details right now. I have her
¿Tú
WhatsApp.
puedes mandar un link a Prema Sundari?
Sí.
I'm looking on the site, but where would I find that?
Let me see if I can find it.
Digital library. English books. Let's see. Well, this is the wrong thing. It has Brahma Samhita, but that's for buying it. Let's see. Ebooks. Where is?
This is the Yamuna Maharaj, the servant of Srila Govinda Maharaj.
I can't.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, te voy a colgar, Prima Sundari.
Claro que sí, Maharaj. Dandavad pranam.
Dhanyavad. I'm looking on this site. I don't see Brahma Samhita.
Let's see.
Did anyone do that? Holy engagement, home comfort, inner fulfillment, in search of the kirtan guide, loving search for the lost servant, relation of the heart, search for sermons, many books here, but Sharanagati, Shinavati, Prabhupada, Prema Vivarta. Okay. Devashish, I didn't see Rama Samhita on the Gaudiya Darshan site.
I'm looking now as well. Yeah, maybe it's not there. Yeah.
Huh. I don't think I've seen a PDF of it. I saw a scan once of I think the Spanish. Well, I saw a scan of the Brahma Samhita, but I didn't see a PDF. Okay. You don't have it, right? I don't think anyone has that. But you have so many copies of the Brahma Samhita in London.
Yeah. Brahma Samhita.
So, Gaurachandra, did you have any question?
No, Maharaj. It's not a question. It's that it's always your anecdotes are so enlightening and so cheerful.
Yeah, well, that's all I can do. I'm not talking about Shastra. I like talking about Shastra, but I have to be able to read it more or less and then speak on it. But the rest of the time, my mind goes blank. Then I can say,
I found it, Maharaj. I found it.
You did?
Yeah, on scsmonk.org.
Can you send it to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it a PDF?
Yes.
Is it actual PDF or a scan?
No, it's an actual PDF.
Oh, nice.
I think.
You'll send it to me on what, my email?
Yeah, see if I can send it now.
I'm sure you can.
Here we go.
But Saraswati said England is in the red zone to go to India. I thought they're not letting anybody go to India on a tourist visa.
Yeah, may be right. I don't know.
Like Avadu Mars went on a business visa, but do you know? I don't know. Besides Indians and people on people with Indian passports and people with business visas, are they even letting anybody go to India? Do you know?
Saraswati?
No, they are not letting anyone except the business visa, like you said, Maharaj, because we have the Indian friends, they are going to India because they have Indian passport also.
Uh-huh.
but no others.
Are those the people who were staying at your temple?
No,
Or
they're visiting.
Yeah, what's their name?
Ratna and Nivedita.
Ratna
And Nivedita.
Anivelika.
Nivedita.
Vendita.
Nivedita. It's an Indian name.
Huh.
Sent it to you, man.
Okay, Maharaj, I don't have any specific questions, but you're talking about memories, and I was wondering, what are the memories that you have that often comes back to you on the daily basis? Is there anything that you had with Gurudev or Srila Prabhupada that, it comes constantly?
Things that come to me on a daily basis. Let's see.
Oh, or that you like to remember?
No, things just come. They just come on a stream of consciousness kind of thing. It's not something that I try to remember. Oh, nice. But this is good. I think this is a scan, Devashish.
Yeah, it is, Maharaj. Yeah, it's a scan, but they've made into a PDF.
Yeah, they've got all the pages there.
Yeah.
But it's okay. That'll be good for. I think that'll be good for Jamuna. But I would like to. I would like to be able to publish the Brahma Samhita in Spanish. But I don't have. Well, it was done by Sagar Maharaj, and one would think that he set up everything in terms of what was his typesetter called?
It was Heidelberg typesetter.
It was a Heidelberg?
Yeah.
You're sure? I know. No, Goswami Maharaj had a Heidelberg press.
Oh yeah. What was it?
But Sagar Maharaj, he had a typesetter.
Yeah.
And I forget what the name of the typesetter. I'll look it up. It was the famous name of a typesetter.
Yeah.
Look it up. I looked it up and they give me people. Linotype, that's what it was.
Yeah, linotype, that's it.
Linotype. And he had the books set up in linotype, and then later Sagar Maharaj even made some special typefaces for the linotype machine. And I think the linotype people, they even gave special thanks to him for what he did. And then he later was able to set up, I believe he was able to set up something to translate the linotype documents to a Mac.
Yeah.
And if he had done that for the Brahma Samhita, we'd have it. But I I don't think that Brahma Samhita ever came out for a Mac.
Yeah, you're right, Maharaj, I think. So I have a question, Maharaj, from Tungarasa Didi.
From who?
Tungarasa Didi. She's in the chat. She says, there's a quote from Guru Maharaj. There's no doubt that if anyone surrenders to him totally, he will protect him. That is unquestionable. But the question remains here, whether I have successfully surrendered myself to him or not. Self-analysis. So she said, could I ask you to elaborate on the subject of self-analysis in this topic?
Well, first of all, about surrendering to the Lord totally. I mean, I believe it's in Sharanagati, Guru Maharaj comments that that surrendering is not a one-time process. It's an ongoing process, continually ongoing. But I believe there is some degree of, as far as self-analysis, I believe there is, that if someone, it remarks that, where's that verse? It's in Prapana Jivanamrita, where it says, and it's quoting a verse in relationship with Vibhishana, because Vibhishan, he always told to Ravana that he was going to destroy the whole Rakshasa race by his action of having stolen Rama's wife, Sita. And then Indrajit always would belittle Vibhishana and say, who are you to talk like this to Ravana, to the king? This Ramachandra, he's just an ordinary human being. And what can an ordinary human being to do us? And they would rail against Vibhishana, although Vibhishana was very wise and he's trying to save the Rakshasas, but finally Ravana and Indrajit, they get rid of Vibhishan. And then Vibhishan goes to the side of Ramachandra, and he's there with the monkey army and the generals and everything. And persons there caution, we should be very careful about Vibhishan because he may be a spy. And if he has betrayed his own brother, how can we know he won't betray us? And there are questions like this. And that's when there's the famous quote of Ramachandra where he says, if anyone even once sincerely says, my dear Lord, from this day onwards, I am yours, then Ramachandra says, then I can never turn that person away, or I can never, not give protection to that person. There's like that exchange. So that's the famous verse. And as far as self-analysis, how to know if we are in that level? Well, that's a good question. You can see I'm shallow. I never thought about that, but I did try to say, pray to the Lord and say, my dear Lord, from this day on, I am yours. But I guess according to self-analysis, I wasn't very competent in making that promise, because I cannot say I'm surrendered to the Lord, but I do believe that I have said that, at least trying to be sincere. So I'm thinking that some protection I'll get, but it's also true, as who's the devotees asking this question about self-analysis?
Tungarasa.
Tungarasa, okay. Tungarasa asking? Actually, very good question, because if we are not on the level of being actually surrendered souls, if we're not on the level of having gotten to a stage where we actually have developed a real a relationship with the Lord, how can we be sure of anything that we say or do that is actually coming from that platform? And I know even, what is it that I'm trying to think of this reference that I have one idea in my mind just now, and then it left, but was in relationship with I don't remember what that thought was, but anyway, how can we be sure that we have the actual integrity to have come to that level of surrender? Because how can we be sure that we've ever, it says we're hearing that if one even chants the Lord's name one time sincerely, that can eliminate all the sins that one can accumulate for millions and millions of lifetimes. But how can one be sure that one has even chanted the holy name one time purely? Because we're still seeing that we still have so many mundane thoughts, mundane actions, so many things going on in our mind. How can we think that we've come to that level when we're not able to sustain that level of consciousness? Besides, Guru Maharaj remarks, if anyone says something to the effect that I am on that level, that I know these things, then Guru Maharaj said, then they become our greatest enemy. Right? So, I mean, what can I say about that self-analysis? I believe that self-analysis is a very interesting, valid topic, but I often think of the quote mistakenly attributed to Malcolm X, where he says, "Analysis is paralysis." Not a very devotional remark, perhaps. Analysis is paralysis, but nonetheless, I think there's validity in it, because how can you do self-analysis employing your senses and your mind? They've always misled us at every turn. We also hear that how can one know that one's receiving messages from Chaitya Guru when we're not tuned into that channel properly? Therefore, Guru Maharaj says it's more necessary to have the directions of the Acharya rather than relying on Chaitya Guru. But at the same time, we can say, oh, well, obviously in our lives, we've been blessed by some Sukriti, we've been blessed by some help from the inner directions of the Lord. We're getting that, otherwise how are we here? How did we get that Sukriti? So, and it mentions that that train travels on two tracks. One is internally with Chaitya Guru, and the other is with the instructions of Gurudev. But I don't know, as far as self-analysis goes, I always consider that I am really dependent on the mercy of my Gurudev, of mercy of Govindamars, and all our acharyas. I mean, I feel like without their, I'm able to follow this path because I want to be in their association. But as far as internal analysis goes, I don't know, it's a sign of being shallow, but it's sometimes hard to engage in that kind of analysis so that I can understand. Am I really a surrendered soul? I would say, obviously, I'm not surrendered soul because I don't have the characteristics of a surrendered soul. What is one of the characteristics? I believe it says that not one moment can be wasted. One does not waste a single moment. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Has there ever been any day where you don't waste a single moment?
Has there ever been a day when I don't waste all of my time?
Yeah, that's my feeling, is something like that. So how can I talk about self-analysis when I'm dealing with with a blunted instrument, which is my mind? How will I do self-analysis? So it's like a knife that has no edge on it. You can't even cut an orange. I don't know. So Tungarasa, let's hear more. What is her question about self-analysis? How do we do this self-analysis? The only thing there are elements of self-analysis. We heard that Guru Maharaj said we should make, is it Guru Maharaj who said we should make a report card for ourselves?
Saltamani.
Huh?
The Saltamani. Like the Mohammedans, they do that. So it's like taking stock of what we did for the year. But Gurudev said, but not just once a year, every day.
Uh-huh. What happens if you're flunking all the subjects?
Indeed. Just do your best, isn't it?
I remember when I was in the upper grades of secondary and high school and all that, got very good grades, but in the lower levels of primary education, got terrible grades. And I was deemed to be somewhat of a, I don't know, somewhat of a menace. Not in the same sense that we say menace, but somewhat of a, watch out for this guy. Being young, they had a nap period because I would go. They had a morning session, and afternoon session. I was in the afternoon session, so they gave you a nap time for all the kids. But when they went to wake me up, I wouldn't wake up. Go away! Don't bother me. And this is the same person who's going to do self-analysis. So how would you, Devashis, how would you go about doing self-analysis?
I think you just have to look within yourself, isn't it, and see. Try just sincerely to see how much are we giving ourselves and how much more we can give ourselves. I think just,
look
I guess if we do that, we're going to find ourselves lacking at every time, aren't we?
Well, that
But
seems
then
to be it. That's what I'm talking about.
I guess that should be our impetus to try and do better.
My God. You can only beat yourself up so much. I remember that used to be what a Mars would tell me. I think he quoted Socrates or something. He said, a person who is not introspective has not lived at all.
Mm.
All right.
The unexamined life is not a life worth living.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's truth in that, but luckily we belong to the Seva ashram. There is some worth put on serving the devotees and serving the Lord, even though I may do so in a very inept way, but still. But tell me, Tungarasa, what do you want to do? What do we want to do with this self-analysis? Is it to find out if we're really a surrendered soul or not?
Actually,
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, Maharaj. I don't know.
All right. Okay, I've done the self-analysis and I'm not a surrendered soul. Next question.
Then how to become surrendered soul? How to surrender oneself?
Well, the first thing I would think about in order to be able to surrender oneself is to, pose that to Gurudev. What you want of me? What can I do? And I mean, Yudamanyu, Seva Vikram, we always used to hear how his only question to Gurudev is, do you want this? And some levels we could say that Yudamanyu, to me, I mean, he personified, well, he was very good at asking Gurudev, would this be pleasing to you? Can I do this? And I think Gurudev had much appreciation for that. And I would feel that there is a great value in getting some of the affection of Gurudev. If you really want to accomplish something, then I would think that getting affection of Gurudev and getting the blessings of Gurudev would be the first necessity. And you're in Norway, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So nowadays it seems like a lot of our association with devotees is through contacting the devotees by various means.
Yeah, mostly on.
But I remember when Goswami Maharaj was in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and he had gone there to present Srila Sridhar Maharaj with The Loving Search for the Lord's Lost Servant, a beautiful book. And then I heard Gurudev say to Goswami Maharaj, he said, we may be separated by distance, but because we are on the same plane of consciousness, we are always together. So I thought that statement has great interest to me, because we are on the same plane of consciousness. But at the same time, I would not think that I'm on the same plane of consciousness as Guru Maharaj or Gurudev. But at the same time, I would think that through a service relationship, they're giving me some entrance into that plane. I may not be submitted to their divine will and serving them as I would want, but they're taking whatever is offered and they're extracting something of real value for that. Now, in the case of Goswami Maharaj, I'm sure that Guru Maharaj had much affection for him based on what he had done to be able to distribute Guru Maharaj's message to so many persons. And also Guru Maharaj mentioned that the books that Goswami Maharaj had printed, Guru Maharaj saw them as deities. And Govinda Maharaj mentioned that. He said he has already given us 2 deities, which was the first 2 books. So, there is great value of being in relationship with Gurudev through the plane of service. And to our external vision, Gurudev has left this world, but he is still accepting our service. Otherwise, what hope do we have? What hope do we have if not that Gurudev is still accepting our service? Do you believe that?
I believe, yes.
You believe that?
Yes, yes,
They-
but only I want to ask, as you say, the example of Yudhamani Prabhu, when he could actually get response of Gurudev, if he was satisfied or not, how we can get that response
through our
in
service
this,
attitude.
in
Through our service attitude. And you're offering everything to Gurudev, including your life. You're trying to offer that to Gurudev. That you're talking about self-surrender, and that's really what it means. When you're trying to offer your life to Gurudev, that is self-surrender. And what are the qualities of self-surrender? Well, you can hear about those qualities in Sharanagati, humility, accepting everything favorable for a devotional service, rejecting everything unfavorable, feeling oneself always to be protected by the Lord, accepting the Lord as one's guardian, and surrendering Atmanivedanam, surrendering the very self to the Lord. I mean, all these are elements of surrender. And if we can be always engaged in some kind of service and offering that to the Lord, I think it will be very good. What is it? We heard of Srila Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj when he told the person, he was begging, and that person says, "Here, this is what I have for you." And he gave him ashes. And then Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj said, "I will accept your ashes, not that I necessarily need them, but I can do something with them. I can use them to polish my brassware, polish my implements, but I will accept them because it is teaching your hand how to give." That was his remark. It is good because it is teaching your hand how to give. Like that's a gesture that you should learn. To actually be able to give to the Lord and his devotees. That is something that Bhakti Sharanga Goswami Maharaj is saying to this miserly man. I'll take your ashes. At least I'm producing, if nothing else, perhaps I'm producing some, some motor response, or what would you call it? I'm teaching your hand how to give. So, who are the devotees there in Norway?
Sorry, what did you say?
Who is in Norway with you?
Right now, nobody, only me. No, there are some devotees, but we are not connected physically.
Yeah.
We live in different places. All are living far away from each other.
Yeah.
So there is no physical connection actually.
But do you have telephone connection with them?
No. With some few, yes.
What?
With some few.
You?
Some few. Some. 1, 2 devotees. I have a connection, yes. Personal connection.
Well, that's why I try to maintain these programs of Zoom to maintain some, I don't know if you use the word, but for me it's like a physical connection with the devotees, although it's not physical, but at least I'm able to see the face of the devotees, I'm able to talk with the devotees, I'm able to have a conversation with the devotees. And I feel that's very good for me, and it's also very good for the devotees. It maintains some level of sangha or some level of communication. I'm thinking many times, as maybe Gaur Chandra's mentioning, I'm just like not so much able to maintain a actual program where I saw Acharya Maharaj, and he would, from the moment you tuned in, he was preaching to the devotees. I saw many times he was preaching, and I actually admired that. I admired that people would go to Acharya Maharaj's programs, and he had a particular emphasis that he wanted to give for that day, and he preached on that point. And I thought the way he was able to do that, I thought that was a very good quality of him, that he was able to preach to the devotees directly. And he would tune in, and he's already talking about the topic for the day, what he wanted to communicate with the devotees. I saw in my mind he was very focused on what he wanted to communicate to the devotees. And different weeks it would be different subjects, but he is able to deal with some essential points. And I actually admired that. I thought that was very good. Now, I have quality where I can go up sometimes to a complete stranger and just start a conversation with that person. But how much Harikatha is in that conversation will only happen if the person expresses some interest. Then I'm able to continue, but Acharya Maharaj at one point, Acharya Maharaj at one point was put in jail. And when he was in jail, I think for a month. And even though he was in jail, some people that he was in the jail with came to the mott. Because they developed, he was able to communicate with them. I thought that's very good. I saw that he had them, I believe honestly that Acharya Maharaj had that ability to communicate with people, that in his own way he was charismatic. He actually created some relationship with the devotees in the jail. How we hear Haridas Thakur was able to do that when he was in jail. And we heard this story where the prisoners that were in jail, they said to Haridas Thakur, well, you are a saint, so can you please pray for us that we may get out of jail? And Haridas Thakur said, I'm praying that you will always remain in jail. And they said, what? Why? You're a saint. Why would you wish so ill for us? And Haridas Thakur said, well, you were all the time now in anxiety and distress and praying to the Lord and constantly praying to the Lord. But when you get out of the jail, then you will forget everything. So he says, in that way, I'm praying rather that you always stay in jail, or something to that effect. You've heard that story, of course, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you could see by them asking Haridas Thakur for his blessings that they'd form an attachment for Haridas Thakur. They wanted his blessings. They were happy with his association. And he admired that they were always in distress and always praying to the Lord for some relief of their condition. But he's saying, once that distress is gone, once you're out of the jail, then you won't think about this anymore. That was his. But you could see that they had developed a relationship with Haridas Thakur. And I'm saying the people in the jail, from what I've heard, they also had developed an attachment with Acharya Maharaj. And I saw that many devotees had that kind of attachment, and I saw that when he preached, he was able to, it was like from the moment you turned on the channel, he was there preaching. And I thought that was very good. Oh.
I have a question.
Who's BM that says Dandavat Pranam? Sorry, I have to leave. Who's that?
Bindu Madhava.
Bindu Madhava. Where is Bindu Madhava?
London.
Oh, with the deities?
No.
No. Oh, I didn't see him.
No, he came. He's a disciple of Srila Acharya Maharaj. He serves in London, in East London.
Anyway, I don't know if anyone else I'm sure many people perceive that, but whenever I would tune in to those Sunday programs of Acharya Maharaj, he would be there preaching. I felt preaching strongly to the devotees, and I thought, how good is that? You turn on some of the channels, and you find these evangelists on the channels, and they can talk very good over the channels and preach, but nothing so much of interest to us. But Acharya Maharaj could preach as soon as you turned on to the Zoom program, but he was doing it in a way which was of interest. Anyway, I appreciate that quality, especially when the devotees are actually very, very kind of like, what's the word? They're very enthusiastic about preaching. He's a very good communicator, very good preacher, Acharya Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Yes.
I have a little question, if you can help me with that.
Can I what?
Can you help me with some question that I have?
Depends on what the question is.
Well, in the Pranam mantra of Srila Chayadev, when it says my Gurudev, what that it really means, that we are given by Gurudev in the care of Srila Acharya Maharaj, or he's like a second guru to us? Because I have a little confusion with that.
Well, Gurudev Guru Maharaj would always say that the Guru is the inspired side of a Vaishnava. So when I read that pranam mantra of Acharya Maharaj, I can say yes, that this is the way that the disciple should see one's Guru. And so I'm reading it, and okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. That I can put myself in that position of looking to the Vaishnava for his blessings. So I don't have any problem with that. I don't have to not analyze it and say, well, is he my guru or this or that? Guru is one. Guru is one. I can see the Vaishnavas as my guru. It doesn't cost me anything. I have no problem in doing that. Of having some inspiration, saying, oh yes, that, he's given that mantle, so to speak, and many persons are approaching him, and I can also approach him. I have no problem approaching the Vaishnava. I have no problem in praying to the Vaishnava. I mean, on some levels, anyone who is entrusted with the responsibility of the lives of the devotees, I can offer my head there. It doesn't cost me anything. I think it's, what is that quote of Srila Govinda Maharaj? Our business is to glorify the Vaishnavas. Do you know that quote? Someone can say can somebody say that quote correctly or something? Govinda Maharaj said, my business is to glorify the Vaishnavas. Have you heard that? You know that quote? Maybe it's from Saraswati Thakur. Devashis, do you know about that?
Well, Maharaj, I mean, we hear it a lot, but I'm not sure which particular one.
Well, there's a quote Gurudev
referring
said.
to.
He quoted, he says, our business is to glorify the Vaishnavas. For me, I have no problem in glorifying a Vaishnava. Whether, somebody can say, well, if I criticize somebody, what good does that do me? It doesn't do me any good. And bringing some kind of, so to speak, I'm bringing some kind of poison into my inner conscious system. I don't know what the right terminology is. If I criticize someone, I chew upon that poison of which I'm criticizing them for. But if I'm glorifying the Vaishnavas, how will that be of detriment to me? So, I remember one conversation, what Guru Maharaj says when he was speaking to Ananta Vasudeva. Ananta Vasudeva said, well, so many of those sannyas names that are mentioned in the Gaudiya Kantahar, which mention, in other words, that Srila Saraswati Thakur, those names of sannyas, and he said, well, we wrote them ourselves, and then more or less Guru Maharaj's response was great. We love to get those things from the hands of Saraswati Thakur. We love to get the things from the Vaishnava. And then there was some remark made, something like, oh, if he's something to the effect, if he's really a Vaishnav. And then you can understand what that, something to that effect. Okay, cut and finished. Our relationship is now coming to an end. If you're telling me that you did all these things in association with Gurudev, fine, that's wonderful. And they're coming from the hands of Gurudev, wonderful. And then you're saying, and then if you make a reference to the detriment of Gurudev, then okay, I don't need to talk to you anymore. You can go do whatever else you have to do, you know. I don't need that association. I don't need that conversation anymore. But one time I was in the hospital and someone came to see me, and I was happy to see that person. And then they made a remark about Prabhupada, about Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, that I didn't like. And from that time on, it was like, okay, you no longer exist as far as I'm concerned. You no longer exist. I have no relationship with you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear you. I didn't say that. But from that time on, it's like my relationship became very superficial with that person. Oh, hello, how are you? Dandava, goodbye. Something like that. So, but I have read, and I could find a quote somewhere where Govinda Maharaj says, our business is to glorify the Vaishnavas. So, in that sense, if Guru is the inspired side of the Vaishnava, then if I feel some inspiration from somebody on some level, then I can glorify them. It comes very easily to me. Someone can say, well, you know, but you're sometimes saying or doing this or this, doing that. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
Thank you, Maharaj.
I don't know if I said anything of like someone wrote a pranam mantra about ashram Maharaj. I'd have no problem reading that pranam mantra. If someone wrote I'm just saying my own mentality. If someone wrote a pranam mantra about Avadup Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj, Madhusudana Maharaj, some people may criticize them, but I'd have no problem reading their pranam mantra. Why should I? I'm happy to glorify the Vaishnavas. Gurudev recognized them. Why shouldn't I?
Maharaj, Gurudev had a special relationship with each and every one of them, a very special service connection with each and every one of them.
And also Trivikram Maharaj. Trivikram Maharaj is a very good servitor. Somebody tried to disturb Gurudev, he physically removed them. That's what I'm saying. I don't have any trouble glorifying the Vaishnavas. Somebody may say, well, sometimes you criticize others. Oh, yeah, sometimes I criticize others. But what's that got to do with it? Sometimes I may swing from a branch like a monkey eating bananas. But what's that got to do with me glorifying the Vaishnavas? Ah. I'm sometimes wondering if this, even this mild form of COVID I have is changing things internally in me. Altering DNA. So, you know, I read that Hong Kong is almost in a permanent lockdown, which they expect to go on till 2024. They expect it to go on till then. And they say until they said it was saying something like till China is able to. Of course, this may be blah blah blah, but till China is able to come up with an mRNA, vaccine. I was reading about that today, and I'm thinking, well, if these vaccines are so insidious and doing so much damage, why wouldn't China have come up with one of those first? Why wouldn't they have the Manchurian Candidate handing them out?
Yeah.
Anyway. That was, you see, I said I have no trouble glorifying the Vaishnava, and even on a different level, mundane level. What they said to you, we have this vaccine. It may help you or it may not help you. I go, all right, put it in my arm. I don't care. That's my mentality. See, Ven. Yeah.
Maharaj, le pregunté a Sadhu Maharaj si tenía una copia del Brahma Sanjita en español y me lo envió. Entonces se lo voy a poner en un email.
Okay, great. Perfecto. ¿Solamente uno?
Sí.
Okay.
Muchas gracias.
Which of these is?
¿Quieres que le ponga esta música?
¿Qué es eso? Okay. Okay.
Muchas gracias, Maharaj.
All right. ¿Está bien?
Sí. Está.
Okay. ¿Cuándo vas?
Ahorita.
Okay.
Voy en camino.
¿Dónde vas?
Muchas gracias.
Ahí está unas personas.
Oh, Dandavas a todos. Disculpen la interrupción.
That's Shruti.
Adiós.
Adiós.
Dhanyavad. All right, so anyway, it's dinner time for you. I'm I'm happy to see everyone.
We're also happy, Maharaj, to have your company and association.
Dandavas, dandavas.
Dandavas.
Dandavas to everyone.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
So Dandavats, Maharaj.
Dandavas.
Maharaj.
Dandavats, devotees.
Jai. Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Dandavat.
Oh.
Jai.
Jai.